Hello and welcome. This is our new chat that we're starting here called Educate Her Collective. We have three amazing women here who have each over 20 years of classroom experience who want to share all of their takes about education and give you all those tips, tricks, and advice that you can use in your classroom tomorrow. So let's get it started with Allison. Can you introduce yourself to us?
Yes. Hi, my name is Allison Gollin. I recently started a consulting firm called Gollin Educational Consulting, and I have over 20 years of experience as a school social worker. In the state of New Jersey, school social workers participate on the child study team and are involved in the special education classification process, along with school psychologists and learning consultants. So I come to this as a school social worker with that special ed and IEP background. I also speak on a few different topics. I speak to doctors about educating parents on the IEP and 504 process. I speak to parents about navigating the IEP and 504 process because it can be very dense and overwhelming, especially when you walk into a room with a whole bunch of people. It's a little scary. But then I also speak to teachers about bridging the gap between home and school. So building parent-teacher connections and relationships that are positive and will last the whole school year and be the kind of relationships that you want to continue talking to the parent. So I think that that about says what I do. I'm going to pass it to Melissa.
My name is Melissa Antonoff. You may know me as the well-seasoned teacher on TikTok and the other platforms. I have been teaching since 1993, so I am quite well-seasoned. I was honored to be named the 2019 Burlington County Teacher of the Year, as well as the 2020 Bonnie Campbell Hill National Literacy Leader. And I love to share teaching tips. I also speak on a variety of topics. I do a lot of work on classroom management, and my passion is to help new teachers stay in this profession. And I also specialize in getting kids to work together because I'm sure we all know that kids would rather play on their own or work on their own. And I'm going to pass it on to Jen.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jennifer Mizaki, and I'm the founder of the Co-Teaching Connection. Why am I the founder of that? Because co-teaching is second nature to me. I have been doing it for over 20 years, mainly in a middle school setting, but I've also had some elementary experience. What I do is I speak at conferences, and I can even come to your school and work with your staff and talk about all the things that we need to do in order to take any co-teaching relationship and take two people, put them together, and get magic to happen. How can we change a team from mediocre to exceptional? I am your girl. I was honored to be named the 2019 Camden County Teacher of the Year, and I look forward to talking with these wonderful women. So, ladies, what are we going to talk about here? Let's start with maybe, beginning of the year. How do you get off on the right foot? How do you start that year off right? So obviously some people are really into this out west because we're in New Jersey. They've been in school for a while, but what are the best steps that you see from your perspective of getting off to a really good start for a strong school year? So Allison, you want to give it a go?
Yep. So one of the things that I talk about, especially in my speech, my presentation, my professional development, is teachers reaching out to parents specifically to talk about something good that happened in the beginning of the school year. Because one of the things that we typically notice when teachers are speaking to parents about struggles is because they're so worried and they're such compassionate people, they're going to parents and starting off kind of with a bang of like all of the things that are going wrong, when parents are going to need to be held a little more softly, right? Like we need to go into conversations and start with the positives. So I think that even starting off with an actual phone call to parents, you don't have to call every single parent in your class. I know that's way too much, but even just the children that you might be concerned about initially, call and develop a rapport so that when you do have to connect with them to tell them something concerning, you're not doing that as your first point of contact.
And Allison, I love how you said call them, right? Because we all get away from that. We all shy away. It's so easy to just put in
Green.
the
Mhm.
email, let everybody know what's going on in your room. But we really should be doing that next step, right? Going above and beyond.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think some people get scared of that, a little bit nervous about that. But I really do think that a parent will remember forever if you pick up the phone and call them, especially if they have a child who creates a lot of attention in the school, and maybe it isn't always positive attention. But if you
And
call to
that
say something
parent
positive,
may never have gotten a positive phone call before, and you could be that first teacher that sees the good in them.
absolutely. And what a memory that is, right?
And now you
It's
have
so
them on
hard.
your side if there is
Mhm.
an issue.
That's the most
Yes.
important part,
Building
getting
the
everybody
bridge.
on the same page, making this, collaborative effort together. And it's really important to make that contact because honestly, making a phone call, it can be a little scary for some people. New teachers, I know they
Absolutely.
struggle because they don't know what to say, but think about it. It's only going to be about 5 to 6 minutes of your whole day, and it just might make a connection for the entire school year.
And
Hmm.
if you need to write yourself a script, you can do that.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Writing a script, bouncing it off of a colleague first or an administrator. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a great tip. I know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. I have at least three. I'm going to make a goal. I'm going to call at least three tomorrow.
Oh,
That's
I like
possible.
that.
Or I guess if I did one, that's good. But I sometimes go above and beyond. So I need at least three tomorrow.
Right.
All right.
And if you do have a lot of students, if you call 3 to 5 a week, you can get your whole caseload done by December.
Absolutely. And it's also really nice even after parent teacher conferences, right? A lot of districts do them in November or early December, but even if you're calling a parent after that, then you're showing them that their child's really important to you, that you remember and that you wanted to continue that connection that you started in at conferences. So,
That's such a good point to continue and not just stop
mhm.
after the one meeting.
so, so what
Great.
about you, ladies? You have some pretty amazing things that I know you're probably thinking of and wanting to do early in the school year like this to get off on a good foot.
Jen, do you want to go or should I go?
Melissa, what do you got?
So, one of the things I've been thinking about, I teach gifted education now. I pull out grades 3 to 8 and I push in grade 2, but I've taught K to 8. And I haven't even started my third graders yet. I'm taking them for the first time in 2 days. So I started thinking about they've never been in my classroom. They need to know where the bathroom is. They need to know where to get a pencil. They don't know where the materials are and what are my expectations for that. And so I started thinking about how do I keep classrooms running smoothly? And someone said to me recently, shouldn't eighth graders know that stuff? And they don't. So I start the first few days of school explicitly teaching every routine in my classroom. I look around the classroom and say, what is a student going to touch? I need to teach them how to use that. Because if you think about middle school and high school, these kids have different teachers every 48 minutes, and every teacher is going to have slightly different expectations. And so I figure to keep it smoothly running in my classroom, I teach them how things run so that by the time um, the end of September rolls around, everything is running smoothly and they know the expectations.
Routines. I am all about routines. It sets you up for the entire year. So, like, some people have been already in school for a while, Melissa. So, what should they be doing now? Like, if they missed the boat on the first week that they had them, what should they be doing now?
I would not teach your lesson tomorrow if you feel like your class is in chaos and kids are getting up in the middle of a lesson and sharpening their pencils, or they're still asking you in the middle of you speaking, can I go to the bathroom? I would teach them explicitly tomorrow. Something like, when I'm speaking, I'm going to ask you, unless you are going to wet yourself, please don't get up, right? Because I tell every class I've ever taught, K to 8, the story about my first grade teacher who said, you are absolutely not allowed to go to the bathroom while I'm talking. And I wet my pants. And I don't want that to happen to a child.
Mm-hmm.
But most kids can realize that when someone is speaking, you don't get up, but they don't always. So if you clearly state what your expectations are, and I make sure that they are posted in the classroom. So if
Yeah.
a child does not follow it, I could say, oh, look at number 4,
Mm-hmm.
and they can reset themselves.
And also, I guess you could even approach it in the classroom. So, say tomorrow we want to do this. We're going to just like throw out curriculum for 2 minutes. You can even say, I think we need a reset. Now it's the middle of October
100%.
and we all get what's going on here at school every day, but I think we need a reset to understand how the classroom works. So, let's talk about it.
I love that. And along with that, I have the kids do the expectations and the consequences with me, because kids always buy in when they're a part of it. So there is nothing wrong with, if your classroom isn't working the way it is, or even, you know, how we change up our seating and then everything is a mess for a while. So you reteach. There's no problem, unless you know you're being observed tomorrow. There's no problem with throwing out curriculum for that day and just teaching them what you expect from them, so that everything works the way it should.
I think sometimes we forget. We think, okay, we have to do this. I have to get through this. But if you actually take that time to reset, you'll be more productive as a group. So it's time to reset. I love it.
And the kids will appreciate it too. Children crave boundaries and routine just like we do, you know, and once they know what your expectations are and they know that they can't step over that boundary, that there will be a consequence, you'll feel like you have much more control and everything will be running the way you want it to.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Boundaries for children are so unbelievably important.
Because
Yeah.
isn't the world full of boundaries,
Yes.
right?
Well,
Mhm.
it's supposed to be.
And
Yes.
so we're getting them set up for success.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's the goal. Great advice, ladies. Great
Thank
advice.
you.
So we had Allison working on that relationship with the parents, and then Melissa, great advice on how we can reset our classroom and get everything going so that we can actually make the most out of our time. I talk about co teaching, so I'd like to talk about that arranged marriage that some of you might be stuck in right now, because literally co teaching is a relationship, and it's not a relationship you choose all the time. I mean, it works out great when you choose your partner and you're teaching the subject you want, but that's not always the case. September is full of the nice to meet you, you're getting to know each other, you're watching the other person's routines, and it can be real like touch and go. You can be having, you have like the best attitude. You know, you're always putting your best foot forward in the beginning when you meet somebody. But you can't do that for 180 days. I don't know somebody who could put on that kind of show for 180 days. So we're getting to that point now where you need to start looking in that at that arranged marriage and say, how is this going? Do I like where me and my partner are? Are we on the same page? Um, do we have the same goals for our class? So this is really where you need to say, okay, we need to be on the same page. And maybe some problems have come up. I know we've all seen different problems. Like, for instance, maybe you've had that teacher who undermines everything that you do. They keep chiming in and you're like, okay, so you have to ask yourself, how could I deal with this problem? So my suggestion is, if you want to deal with any problem with a coworker, and it's not always easy to address a coworker. I mean, how many people are going to say, oh, I love confrontation? Nobody, right? No one loves conversation. Nobody likes hard conversations, but they have to happen, right? How many hard conversations have you had in relationships? A lot. And
Hmm.
they're hard, and they're going to be hard with your co-partner as well. But the best thing to do is to make them solution based. So start, what is that problem? Know what the problem is. Come in with some sort of solution and come in with a positive, open attitude. If you just start telling that person, I don't like that you do this, or critiquing them, you're being toxic. No one is going to listen to you and no one is going to change. You have to come in with an appreciative tone. You have to come in with some sort of solution, and you have to be open and willing to actually start a real conversation. So, for instance, if you had like a problem with them undermining you, I'll go back to that one. I really suggest that you start out by saying, hey, I really love that you're interjecting in the class and that we are going to go through this together and we're going to work together to both contribute and be equal partners in here. But one thing I've kind of noticed is that sometimes you and I are not on the same page. What we really need to do is we need a unified front. We need to decide what are some of our rules or expectations we have for the class. Maybe you'll accept homework 3 days late. I won't accept it late at all. So maybe we can meet somewhere with it's acceptable to do it 1 day late. So we need to really come up with that. So I would really suggest coming up with a solution and then getting on and having the students see you as a unified front.
Mm.
Jen, this reminds me of when I first had children and I was the disciplinarian and my husband was the fun one, and I had to say to him, I don't want to be the mean one all the time. Like, how come
Right.
you get, and so it's almost like a spouse or a significant other. You really need to be willing to communicate and give and take.
Hmm.
Definitely. That is all it is. It's constant communication. And you need to keep that communication up the same way you would share your feelings with your spouse. You need to do the same thing with whoever you're co teaching with. Obviously, you're going to share different things, but if you're not sharing anything and you're holding it all in, it's not going to be a
No.
productive year. The students are going to feel it. You and your co teacher are not going to get in sync, and you really need to get it out there in the open.
I made a new friend recently who is a special education teacher. She had been co-teaching with the same teacher for years and years and years and years, and that teacher retired. So when she was explaining how it felt to come back in September and not have the same person that she adored, it's like a grieving, right,
Hmm.
you're grieving the loss of this relationship, of that this symbiotic situation that you had, that for years just felt so natural and easy, and she has to like then get used to a new relationship again. And I was also thinking that there are probably times when, we've been doing this a long time, you hear something about someone before you've actually worked with them yourself, and
Hmm.
not coming into it with a bias against someone else. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel that can um, turn things rotten pretty quickly if you're listening to all of the hubbub, because it's like a professional athlete. Maybe you go to a new team and all of a sudden you're a superstar. It just
Hmm.
could be the relationship that,
And
you need to
Allison,
know.
that reminds me of what you were talking about. It made me think about a parent. I was told about this kid I was getting years ago, and that the mother will not work with the teacher. So I went into this year saying, oh boy. And the first day of school, he was so upset about something, he picked up his desk to throw it. And I stopped him and I calmed him down. And I went to my principal and I said, how, I mean, I have to call the mother. How's she going to be? So I did what you suggested, Allison, and I started with something positive. I mean, he was hilarious and he told the best jokes. And the mother said to me, no one's ever said anything nice about my son. Right? Doesn't that break your heart? Like, she never heard anything ever except what he was doing that was destructive.
Yep. And I'm sure her whole opinion of the educational system changed that day when you gave her a positive. You gave her that nice little piece of candy that she needed,
That she
because
needed. And Jen, would that work with your co teacher? You can say to them, I love how you do this. I don't feel like we're meshing with this. How can we fix it?
Well, that's a good idea.
Exactly. I love it. Yes, because no one's going to listen if you automatically critique them. You need to start, you need to open up that dialogue with something positive. So wonderful.
Yes.
Ladies, this has been amazing.
So
Wonderful.
I'm so excited for all of the content we're going to be able to bring people.
Me too.
And we got some dynamos here, right?
I hope people will comment and ask us to help solve problems. And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you have any questions or comments and you want to throw them in the chat, do that for us. And we'll be back in a few weeks and we'll have another new, fresh outlook from all three of our perspectives on Educate Her Collective. Thanks for stopping by.
Hi, thank you.
thank you.